Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Wedding Film School Live. We're super excited to be here. Super excited that you are here. We're excited to be back. I am joined by
I
Jay.
messed it up. Hold on, let me put you full screen. You're like a tiny man
You
right
can
now.
hear me, and I'm just a tiny man.
I'm just a tiny little man.
No, but we are excited to be back. It's been a little while. I thought it had only been like a week or two, but it had been more than that, I believe. So, with that said, Jay, what's up? What's new? It's been, the people haven't seen us. What's up,
We
Jay?
had a little bit of our holidays little break.
Nice.
We got to I got to mess around with this live stream thing to try to make it work. It should work today, so that's good. But yeah, no, we've like in New England, kind of similar probably to where you are. We have very, very, very seasonal weather, which means unlike in the hot parts of the country where wedding season is popping in the wintertime, our wedding season kind of really dies down in the wintertime. So we've been doing endless networking events. So we start jamming all that stuff. And you know what's interesting? I was talking to my wife and I was like, for me, and maybe this is the case for other people, like I'm gone a lot more midweek from December to March, April, and then I'm gone on weekends from then on. So like our schedule kind of flips. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same thing here. I'm in the Midwest. It is like 0 degrees right now. And only the brave get married in the winter here.
Yes.
Every now and then I have one, but I usually my winter weddings I feel like are not here. And I'm
No.
okay with that.
So
Yeah.
who's our first film? Why don't you tell people about how we like to do film reviews?
Yeah, so our film reviews here. If you haven't joined us before, what we like to do is watch, most films we're going to watch about 2 minutes of the film. We might break that rule. We'll see. Um, if you are a member here with our YouTube channel, which you can do by hitting that join button down below, then you're going to get more of your film reviewed, more like 5 minutes or so. We're going to watch your film. We are going to share some things that we think you did well, some areas where we think you really excelled, strong points as a filmmaker, and then flip it the other way and talk about some things that we think that you could have improved, or maybe things we would have done differently for that film, or in that certain scenario you were dealing with, or something like that. And it's a good time. We want to hear from you guys in the comments as well. We've got a lot of experience between myself and Jay, but this is a community effort. So if you have something to share, be sure to put it in the comments as well. And we're trying to meet you where you're at, give you actionable things to grow and improve for your next film. We're not giving you a rating or a score or anything like that. So this is just for all of us to get together, hang out, and enjoy some wedding films.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, too, we don't know everything, so take it with a grain of salt.
It's true. It's unfortunately true that we don't know everything.
It's my goal is to know everything, but it hasn't worked out so far.
You're getting there. You're working on it.
Yes.
Let us know in chat, guys, if the stream is looking good for you, because we get like these messages on the back end, and they aren't always accurate, unfortunately. Coming up first, though, we have Nate from NB Films. I think Nate has submitted before. I definitely recognize that name. And not a whole lot of information. Looks like it was a beautiful Florida wedding. Really fun, spunky couple. My wife and I shot this together, and it was shot on the FX3 and the A7S3.
Yes. Always a good combo, if anybody who knows.
I've never shot on the FX3. The A7S3 is my main cam.
You know what stuns me? And it's just is like a testament to its like quality is how many people I still see rocking A7 IIIs.
That's still a camera I bring to a wedding is not a main camera, but I'll throw it up for a ceremony or something.
That camera's just
what
was that, like
10
years?
The only thing though is once you upgrade to like the next iteration beyond that, so A7S3 or I don't know, whatever, A7 IV, I assume, although I haven't touched one of those. Man, the screen improvement, like I go back and I look at the screen on the A7S3 and I'm like, man, I really can't tell if something's in focus. I can't tell if this is maybe overexposed. Like you got to use the viewfinder or you got to use a monitor.
But yeah. I mean, the noise.
Such is life.
They're noisy too. The old ones are noisier,
Pros
but
and
still.
cons.
But I will say, still amazing that people can actually use.
Oh yeah, and that's almost like the same thing with the A7S2. Like remember when the A7 III was what most people were using, and you could say the same thing then about the A7S2. You're like, that thing's been around for like a decade or something, like, and it's still
honestly
solid.
If like you could do your CD cam on like generation old cameras for like 10 years.
Dude, I still run my D cam usually is still a A6500, which is like an APS-C. Like
people love that camera.
Yeah, that thing's so old. I love it.
All right,
but it works, Hey, what's up, Felipe? All right, so if we want to get into our first video,
so it's 7-minute film, so we'll probably end up doing let's watch the intro and then we'll kind of see.
We'll jump around a little bit.
Keep singing your song.
Wait, I should probably give you.
I can see it.
Okay, so I have no problem with this, but this is a good example of a trope, a wedding trope, that girls get together and then walk in the crowd and then sing that song. And
I wonder what the audio source was for this.
It sounds great. I'm sure it looks like the mic or something. But I think he should include it. I'm not saying don't include it, but it is interesting. If you do enough weddings, this kind of stuff, you might get in your own head and be like, don't include it. I've already had it. I've seen it a bunch, blah, blah, blah. It's effective. You should include it. Like the couple is going to like it.
Also, we're 2 seconds into this, so who knows? But I feel like this is going to be like very them kind of, you know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I feel like this is going to fit their vibe and their personality. So.
Good song.
You ready for it, Nestor?
I'm practicing.
Okay, good.
Friends and family, I promise to not suggest naming our future kids Mason and Jason. Tell the world I'm gonna marry you.
Oh,
that's super good intro.
Really good intro. Let's just kind of, I don't want to see too much at the beginning, but let's see kind of how the vibe shift changes.
Yeah.
But that was effective.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in the presence of God to join together this beautiful couple, Kaysen Michael Schneider and Grayson Eastman.
Kason, Grayson, Mason, Jason.
Gets even better.
That's funny. It looks like we got some crap
Oh,
over
yeah,
here.
that's some
I'm so
interesting.
excited to see Kason.
Yeah.
I've already been watching him through the
We
window.
got Super 8.
So I know he already looks handsome. He hasn't seen me yet though.
A
So
little bit of
I'm very
interviews.
excited to see how he reacts.
I'm just gonna cry, I think, and she's gonna look so good. She brings all the style and even the suits. She told me I had to wear this, and so here we are. She's gonna look beautiful. Grayson, I hear you.
I know.
Okay, so this is first touch.
Yeah.
Oh, and
no.
Grayson, you look beautiful. You look beautiful.
this is a very very intentional storytelling style.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like very thoughtful about like producing the moment. Like I think a lot of the times, like when you see these interviews, you're like, it's cheesy, and it's cheesy because you're like, why are they doing this out of
Mhm.
nowhere? Why are they randomly doing a question? And when I see this one, I'm like, oh, okay, like it's like, hey, you're about to see this person. What are you thinking? And then you see the person. It's like it's actually like makes a lot of sense. So I don't.
Yeah, it's actually like planned or thought through.
Yeah. So let's skip over to the end of the ceremony. That was great though.
And wife, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Kason, you may kiss your bride. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. Kason Snyder.
A little dad cam.
Next transition.
Kason Eastman and Grayson Schneider. That's not.
Today was very, very special moment for me. A special.
They're kind of doing like a lot of trendy things, but they're doing
Yeah.
them well. And
Yeah.
in general, like it seems a little like very purposeful. Like they went with like the front on like paparazzi look, and minus the
Yeah.
fact that it's overexposed. Like they're doing the interviews, they're like doing all the things, but it's the way that they're assembling them. That's why it's always tough. Like, should I do X? Should I do Y? It's like kind of depends how well you're gonna
Yeah,
do
you
it.
don't really know. Yeah.
My daughter got married. My new son-in-law. I am very happy for both of them.
Just so excited to have Grayson as a new daughter. So, congratulations. Have a fun honeymoon, guys.
I will be crying by myself thinking that my baby sister won't be there as much as she does. And as much as I sounded like I didn't want to hang out with you, Grayson, I did.
This light is really blinding me, but like, congrats.
Bro,
This is
dude,
really good.
you can't say that. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, I think we can.
All
Hello,
right.
Earthlings.
What'd you say?
Said hello, Earthlings from 87 and Smith.
All right,
Wow.
so I look at this, and let's just talk about what we like, which is I think lots of trendy things, edgy-ish things that
But
actually
done, yeah,
work. Like
yeah.
like it matches the couple, it matches the age of the people, matches the way that they decided to film it for the most
Yeah.
part. I'm gonna back it up a little and see if we have any like pretty details or things that I missed.
Yeah.
But in general,
think
I
we're
felt
gonna
like
touch on that, but
it's a very like narrative kind of like almost like an old school style of storytelling, but with like more hip, ironic sensibilities. And I think mostly very successful, and I mean very fun. It's a very fun wedding film, and like
yep.
this will definitely travel. Like I don't know that every couple would want this, but I think
But the couples like this will want
a
it,
lot
you
of
know what
couples
I mean? Like,
would like
yeah,
this.
like this won't resonate with some couples, but that's okay. I don't think all your films will resonate with every couple ever. So, but I think like yeah, I got a little off track, but yeah, I mean, all that to say is like the overall of this is I think you nailed it. I think this will be attractive to a lot of couples. I think that kind of piggybacking off of Jay, some of the things I really liked. I really liked the interviews with the couple. We saw it early in the day before they saw each other. That led into their first look. That was really good. I also like
let's see what Grandma said here.
Okay.
Neck I do, bushel and a peck. You bet your pretty neck I do.
There you go.
I love you.
Yep, there you
And
go.
there you have it. Yeah, so the interview with the couple I really liked. You also used an interview with the couple as a transition between kind of like the ceremony part and the party part, I believe, which I liked after they were married and to kind of intro them. And then I think the biggest thing is like you really, really like I don't know this couple, but I feel like this is very reflective of them and who they are. And like they are fun. You made this fun. It's still serious. It's still a wedding film. It still has all that, a lot of the things you want from a wedding film, but you were able to cater it really specifically to them in a lot of ways.
Very good. So I have a lot of negative feedback that I don't want it to seem like it's negative because it's not negative.
Positive negative feedback.
Yeah, I look at it and I go like this is my opinion that there is one thing that they need to avoid as they have talent and they have a vision that I think you see throughout the film that I think will help them make more well-rounded films and charge more money.
Yeah.
I think the thing I noticed was, first of all, critique or not critique, just a reality. You are, as a filmmaker, very present in your own film. And that is going to be something that, again, not every couple is going to enjoy. Like, sensing your presence. Like, the fact that that guy, even in his own video, goes, the light's really in my face.
Bright.
It's obvious that, like, for the whole end of that, like, video, you're just blasting people in the face with light.
Yeah. It's interesting because it does achieve the look
it looks great.
Wanted. It looks like Jay said, that like paparazzi style. But Jay's gonna be able to say better than I will, but Jay, you shoot a lot more like high-end weddings than I do, and I've shot it, definitely some throughout my career. I can't imagine being that present at some of those really high-end, or not present, but that in your face with.
It's the way that the person perceives it when they're watching it. Like someone watching this knows what your presence on site is like. Mm-hmm. And when I look at this, I go like, I'm not sure that the couples I shoot would want me to act like that at a wedding.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I'm saying it's not really a critique. It's more just a
thing
to consider.
Yeah.
And one thing you could do that I think would let you do exactly what you want to do, but also help you in the future, is show some more off-camera lighting of the end of the day. Mm-hmm. So that way you can exemplify to a couple like, oh, this couple wanted this, but like I don't have to. I could do it this way. Like I think showing like both sides, and also like I think it lacks some of the polish of earlier in the film. So my biggest critique is like this like switch over.
Right after that switch to the reception part, you kind of.
I think you could have kept like adding the interviews and adding a lot of that direct lighting, like on camera lighting stuff, and adding a lot of that, and then mix it in with like some off camera lighting and some more like documentary style coverage, so that like this stuff, a little more of this throughout the reception, so it's like doesn't freak out a couple. Like this guy's gonna be running around blasting everyone in the face and asking them questions. And like maybe that's what you want, but I think and then the other thing I mentioned is I kind of felt like your storytelling style is awesome, but I think it needs more B-roll throughout the film. Like I think it's just very much like you're with the couple the whole time they're talking, you're listening, and like that's very important. But like you have a lot of this really beautiful stuff you shot by the water, like, you know, a few like details. Like I'm looking at like this moss, like I'm seeing like just more of that, just a little bit more throughout the film. I think that would give it a little bit more of a
like, I think, I agree. I think my two big things that I would say, and one of them's kind of a two-parter, but number one, I feel like that last third. So as soon as we transitioned, we saw the titles with their names, and I actually didn't mind that. And I'm not somebody who would generally like that. So
I didn't mind it. It's
good
okay.
job.
I mean, I wish everyone didn't have the same exact colors.
Exactly. But my issue is like pretty much after this point that we're seeing right here, where we see their names, we've just transitioned to this upbeat music. The film, which is another whatever it is, the entire remainder of the film is just open dance floor and people interviewing blasted in the face with light.
Exactly. That's why you needed to do some of that off-camera stuff and change your lenses up and just give yourself some variety.
And I think I actually think, you know, the interviews with the couples worked. I think if there had been one or two of these interviews, I would have like let it slide and not had an issue. But the fact it's so many, I just really don't think that really helped your film. And then, you know, the handheld like Tascam recorder, I think you could get a better option there. So there's some issues I have with that. It's just not really my thing.
Yeah, I see. I'm okay with the rough, like edgy, like you're going for it look. I just think mixing it with some refined stuff would help show a little more range.
And so like kind of my second part building on that is like, we didn't see any detail shots of the reception. We didn't see any speeches at the reception, which maybe there weren't any.
Felipe,
we didn't see any
correct.
table settings. We didn't see like, we just didn't really see a lot of the day past the ceremony. And even when we reflect back on the first half of the film, which I think was a more put together, well thought out piece of the film, like Jay said, we're still missing like, where are the close shots? You know what I mean? Like, we don't see super close details of that moss. We don't see the archway. Or I don't know, like maybe we did see the archway, but I feel like we're just missing, a lot of those kind of like detail, scene setting, that kind of thing. And I think there are definitely filmmakers who favor that stuff too much, you know? So I like that you're with the couple a lot. I like that you have all the, you know, wedding party involved and all these people, you know, getting in front of the camera and stuff and dancing. Great dancing footage, by the way. But I just want to see a little more of like, you know, they choose the venue, they choose their decorations. We always say this, we choose all the things involved in their wedding, and they should be captured too.
Agreed. And I don't know why it's panned to the left, by the way. It just, for some reason,
the mystery
is panning to the left, and I didn't even know you could do that, so I have to go change the settings. So,
but with all that said, I really like that film. I thought it was
really good. Those are very like the critiques. We had a lot of critiques because I was like, mainly I think this is a filmmaker that could be and will be continue doing really big stuff. And they're either going to have to they're going to lean into this style like more, right? Like all the way and just kind of to heck with it. We're just going to go with this.
Yeah, and that's one thing is like, maybe this is, you know, maybe you're doing something different here and people will really gravitate towards that. I don't know.
I think so for sure. But it is one of those things where you're like, you know, like just be cognizant is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just know that like
being aware of it is important.
It is a little polarizing and you do need to very much so. That should fix it kind of. Very much so just be aware that what you're doing is not necessarily for everyone. And that's okay. It doesn't need to be. Yeah. But if you would like to have a little more universal appeal, I think, you know, just doing some of the stuff we suggested in addition to what you're doing will help. That's all. So that's it.
Sweet.
So while we're switching over, I wanted to let you guys know that we got something really fun coming up in New York City. And we're selling tickets quick. Whoa. It should not be doing that.
Oh, was that a wedding? I was like, what?
No, that was the wedding that we just played. It just switched over to a different audio source. So we got a retreat coming up, and it's called Clarity And man, I'm really excited about this. We have had like just such a fun time promoting it, and some really fun people. I'll say this just for like, you know, like we just got some folks from Jake and Nate from Runaway Vows are going to be in attendance.
Oh, awesome.
So we're going to be hanging out with those guys. We got, even though they're not speakers, like that's kind of what we're trying to go for, is like people who are of that caliber, who are looking for a place to grow. So if you're looking for a place to grow, we have an awesome retreat. Last year we had Ray Roman speaking. This year we have Lindsay Conklin from Le Rev, who's going to be speaking.
We have an all-star cast.
Yeah, Sharon from Fior Films will be there. I'll be there, of course, so you're really going to learn. Bobby's going to be there. Julie Kintner's going to be there. Lindsay Landman, who's a luxury wedding planner in New York City. And, of course, we're all going to be in a luxury hotel in New York City. And if you're a person that's like, I want to spend money on one education event, we're going to get the most bang for a buck. Kind of give me the pitch. Why is this, do you think, the most beneficial type of learning event for someone looking to go to the next level in their career as a wedding filmmaker?
So for me, I think that nobody is really like, I don't want to say nobody focuses on the business side of things, because I'm sure that's tackled at, you know, other retreats and whatever, but not like this. I think that, you know, not only are we bringing in very high end, you know, luxury wedding filmmakers to kind of help you pave the way for that or make that transition, but we're looking outside of that too. I remember one of the most impactful things that we had as far as kind of like a, you know, presentation, let's call it, last year, was the high-end planner that you brought in, Jay. Like being able to pick the brain of somebody who does these, you know, just incredible weddings, who knows what they're looking for and not looking for in a videographer to work with, is like, that's such an important insight. And kind of everything throughout the event, you know, obviously it's meant to network and to recharge and just reset as an industry and get creative. But it's really meant to be able to walk away with like actionable, you know, steps that you want to take.
Well, we call it clarity because we want people to have
clarity.
One clear idea, at least one clear thing. Like, I don't want you to be like, oh, I'm really working on my gimbal shooting. It's like, no, you should know not
that's
just what to work on.
YouTube videos are for.
Yeah, what is going to be the thing that's going to help your business go to the next level? The other thing is, if you're interested, there's going to be one-on-one coaching available there, so you can sign up, do a coaching session, and it's just gonna. It was awesome. Really excited. And so I would encourage you, if you would like to hang out with us, I'm going to give you guys a 10% off coupon in the chat in a little bit. As we're watching the next film. So I head over there. The other cool thing is ticket prices include your rooms, your food, and all the activities. So it's not like you need to buy a bunch of different things. We're trying to keep it all organized. It is well worth $2,000, guys. I'm telling you, like, if you have the money to invest in yourself, it's going to be great. So
that's like what it would cost to stay at this fancy hotel anyway.
Pretty much.
So. Yeah, it's a good time. Yeah, last year was such a blast. I'm pumped. It's gonna be good.
All right, so who do we got next, Bobbert?
All right, coming up next, we've got Goran from G&D
Good
Weddings.
old Goran.
Good old Goran. And Goran, if you're watching this, I pulled this submission from you submitted it like a week or two ago, but I saw your new submission, and it's the same film that we've reviewed, and I think you've submitted it multiple times. So maybe don't submit that film again, please. Even if it's a different cut or something, we're not going to probably review the same film. But this one I checked.
No, I will commit to you that I'll never review it again.
Yeah, I know for sure I will not.
That's my commitment to you.
Yeah, and not because we didn't like it or anything.
No, it's not.
We just it needs to be different.
You can hire us to do a consult, and we can
do a private.
We can do a private one. We're happy to do that.
Yeah. But this one, I believe, is a different one, and I think so. Let's see, what did he say here? Autumn wedding day, with an after wedding shoot. So I don't know if that is maybe a different day. And then this is a teaser or a trailer is what he called it. But
all right, well, you know,
which I always love. It's nice to like do like a film, a teaser. I don't know.
No, I like it. I mean, it's, you measure them differently.
Oh, Goran is here. Perfect.
So this is a minute and a half, so a little longer than I would normally do one for. But because I'm focused on Instagram. So this is not an Instagram-focused teaser, FYI.
Okay.
Seit über 14 Jahren gehen wir gemeinsam Seite an Seite. Wir haben unser halbes Leben miteinander verbracht.
Is this Sleeping at Last?
I didn't hear what you asked.
Ich verspreche, immer ein offenes Ohr für dich zu haben, in guten wie in schlechten Zeiten an deiner Seite zu stehen.
Goran,
Im Winter deine Bettseite
explain to us
bevor du schlafen gehst.
in English, if possible, what these people are doing, sitting down.
Oh yeah, are these like vows or?
Yeah, is this a
'Cause
tradition?
it looks like
Is
it's at the ceremony.
Well, no, this is at the ceremony. So I'm wondering if they always do this. Is this in Germany or are we in Switzerland?
That I don't know.
Anyway, Anyway, I'm curious about what they're doing. So let me.
Niemals hätte ich gedacht, dass der Junge, in den ich mich verliebe, auch einmal der Mann sein wird, den ich tatsächlich heirate. Liebe ist kein Ziel, Liebe ist eine Reise. Es geht nicht darum, jemanden zu finden, mit dem du leben kannst. Es geht darum, jemanden zu finden, ohne den du nicht leben kannst. Und ich denke, das habe ich mit dir, mein Hase, gefunden. Ich liebe dich, ich habe dich immer geliebt und ich werde dich.
Goran, though, so my question is, though, do people normally sit down to do their vows in Austria? Though that's really what I mean. Or is that just a choice that this couple made?
Yeah, I've never seen that.
I feel like I've seen it in one of his films before.
Maybe, okay.
I feel like I've seen it a couple times in these European weddings, and I'm just wondering if that's like traditional or.
Darum, jemanden zu finden, mit dem du leben kannst.
Sorry, I was talking.
Es geht darum, jemanden zu finden, ohne den du nicht leben kannst. Und ich denke, das habe ich mit dir, mein Hase, gefunden.
Goran, which parts were post-wedding? Like, which one of the parts of these
Oh,
shoots?
yeah. What's the post-wedding shoot?
Ah, man, there's so much. There's like a lot of good shooting.
Verliebe auch
Huh. All right.
Good.
Cool.
So keeping in mind, it's keeping in mind it's a teaser. Jay, what are some things that you like, or would you prefer that I go first?
You go first. Why don't you go first?
Okay. A couple things that I liked. I like the inclusion. Like this felt, and this is I think partially with it being a 90-second teaser, right? Like we said, it's really not like an Instagram teaser. This felt like a very complete, like recap of the day, kind of.
Really? I felt totally different.
Oh,
yeah.
I felt like it just included a lot of parts of. Granted, what I envision is probably.
Well, that's why I'm rewatching it. I'm rewatching it like pretty hard because I'm trying to figure out why I felt like it didn't include much of the day, and like I could be totally.
I always feel
wrong.
like these days are shorter. Like that's kind of
it's just European. Like these European weddings are so different, and so you have to like reorient your brain around the expectations of what you're gonna see to really determine. I mean, it's beautiful. Anyway, keep going.
I also thought, a couple shots I really liked. The sunset, not so much for the drone stuff, it was fine, but you had a couple like silhouetted shots that I thought were really nice. You used the wind on some of that like veil stuff that was really nice. And then, and this is going to come back to a critique too, but the positive side of it is there were two shots in black and white. One where she was holding her veil. You could see the ring. It was kind of a close-up of her hand with the veil. And then one with the two hands, on the white cloud, black and white. And both of those I thought looked really nice. Felt very high end, like very
editorial almost.
Editorial, yeah, exactly. And I think that was like, man, if you could have replicated that for a lot more shots, I think that would have been really, really cool. Because I thought those really stood out to me.
I think the shooting is very good throughout, and so I don't really I have some minor critiques with a few shots that don't love the exposure on and little things, but There's not much I would really point at. Like I look at it and I'm like, this is nice. Like they did do a lot. Honestly, probably my biggest beef is it lacks the place. Like it really needs like,
yeah, it looks like a cool spot.
Like a little bit of drone work and like a little bit more of like the details, like a little bit like those things that kind of like
where are we? And
the extra little sexy shots. Like, anyway, but no, overall though, everything you said, very, very well done. You know, like, I don't know. I don't have really a ton of feedback here. I look at this and I go like, I think if a couple saw this, they would be psyched to get their full film. And I think if a future couple, like the big thing with teasers, guys, is this. A teaser is what your next couple will actually be willing to watch. They're not going to watch your 7-minute films. Like they're going to watch like the minute and a half of this, minute of this, 30 seconds of whatever you put, like whatever that is. I do think this would be more effective at 60 seconds. And it should be vertical and it should be on your Instagram. Like, I think you have the shots and you have the content for it. But overall, like, even just exactly like this, if this was on your website, I think this would get the job done. I think like your couples would like your prospective couples would watch this and go like, oh, so beautiful, so elegant. Like, I just felt, just to get to the critiques, like, it felt a little one-dimensional. And I don't know why. That's why I've watched it and I'm watching it with intent because I'm like, no, there are no mistakes. I think it's just like everything is outside in that one field.
Yeah. That might be all it was though.
Exactly.
Other than that. So that's where it's like always kind of hard, especially with the teaser because we just have way less to look at.
Yeah,
so like,
yeah. It's a very,
what
very
really happened on this day. I guess I don't know.
I hesitate to say the criticism is what I'm saying because I'm looking at it going like, sometimes it is what it is. And so maybe it's not a critique. If it was possible to maybe give it a little more depth, maybe do it. But other than that, I mean, I don't have a ton of critiques. I think it's really nice.
Yeah, I think the only two things that are, smallish critiques for me is one, the black and white shots outside of the two that I mentioned. I didn't like them as much. I'm always somebody who doesn't really love black and white use, probably, especially if it's just like an excuse for poor exposure, poor color, or whatever. I don't know if that was the case, but I think there was kind of a lack of some intentionality on that black and white. And then also mainly because those two other
I like
shots
that black and white. I just don't like that black and white of the friends.
Yeah. Like I think those two other shots I mentioned in black and white looked so good and so like editorial and high end that the other ones kind of fall short because of that almost. The only other thing that I would say is you had two time lapses of the like venue. One was at the very end. One was of the building kind of earlier on in the film. I don't really think those helped you. I don't think they were the place for a time lapse. You see the clouds moving in probably both of them, but especially in that first one. But it's
I like the second one. The first one
is like it's so dull and cloudy, and there's no sun, and there's not.
No,
like,
the first one the first one I wasn't into. At all. I agree. It may be.
I can't really remember. I know it was at the end, but
it was nice. It was like a closing shot. I mean, it's not like groundbreaking or whatever, but it's effective. It told us like this is it.
Yeah,
tells the story.
That's the like ceremony site.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like look, it's over.
Like I think that one's better. There's a little more like dynamic. Like the look is a little more dynamic with actual like light between the clouds and stuff like that. Obviously, the sunset part of it.
I mean, the biggest thing about that other one that you were mentioning. Was like
not there. That one right there. Yeah.
That's not nice weather.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just gray, dull. Like, okay, the clouds are technically moving, but like, like that shot, I just feel like a drone or like a stable shot with a slow push in or something like that would just do
I honestly think like one or two beautiful detail shots, like a shot of them like walking in that vineyard with a drone.
Yeah.
From the top, like a couple like really like epic shots in the film would go a really long way. That's probably it. It's like it lacks a little epicness. It could use a little epicness, but it's very, very good. I mean, you're very good. I have a small critique that's unrelated, and they never asked us, but it's a thing that I'm gonna say, and I'm curious about. This right here, all I can ever think of is Guns N' Roses. GNR.
Oh.
That's like the styling of the word. I think G&D weddings, like I think it would be better if his name of his company was there.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like Goran would be better.
Goran weddings
or something like that. I just look at that and it's like it's a lot of.
And that's what I mean. That's a branding thing more than than anything. But
it doesn't. When I see the name, it makes me think it's going to be like this edgy thing, and the film is actually very sophisticated. Yeah. And I don't know. That's a small thing. So why don't we get to? We had somebody mention to us. They wanted us to review their film.
We had a handful.
So I have chosen photographies up. So we'll get to as many of these as we can, guys. So let's just get right into it. How about that?
All right. No info really. So
they're in chat though. So we're gonna do chosen. So if you want to let us know about the film, you know, you don't have to give us pricing or whatever, but like it's always good to know at least what you used and stuff like that. And chosen, how long have you been a wedding filmmaker? That's all. I love to know that stuff like that too, to give people feedback based on their experience level. But here we go.
Holy moly. This is a beautiful.
A beautiful what?
Who knows? We'll never know.
This is going to be very easy to give some very easy critique on.
I first want to say to the family and friends of Catherine and Wilson Graves, this is a special celebration as everyone in this tent has had an impact on Wilson or Catherine or both.
You started as a photographer, correct? I would.
I don't know. They said they've been filming weddings since about 2018.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm just curious if they had started doing photography before video.
Well, my guess would be yes, based on the name and also based on the fact that they're using a Sony and a Canon.
That's so fun!
A lot of good ideas in this.
Before, Catherine, you were born, God knew you and called you to be His. Your mother and I know with confidence that Wilson is the man God planned for you to marry. We've been praying for you and your future ever since you were a baby. In fact, many people in this room have been praying for you. Even Nani, your grandmother you never knew, prayed for you. She prayed for you and your future spouse, and both of you would know Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior and see the riches of God's wonder in all of creation. We are witnessing decades of prayer being answered.
Let's just get through the ceremony a little.
Yeah. Okay.
Tonight, we want to talk about the first time that we ever met Catherine and how that turned out. COVID was still present. However, it was her all.
Wilson is even more than I could have asked for my best friend. His friendship how he wanted to be a spiritual leader.
Who's that? Down there.
That's theirs. Assuming they did photo here too.
I'm wondering why they didn't.
That's their flash.
I wonder why they didn't use it on the dance floor.
Oh, it's a flash. Not
it looks like a constant light though.
No, it's the like Godox flash or whatever.
They have a light.
Or not Godox. Yeah, good question. Ultimately the same question in my brain, but that's a flash.
Okay, so I think there's a lot of really like. I'm gonna give this person a very good compliment. I consider it a good compliment. There's a lot of really excellent composition throughout this that I think are like little things. Like to me, this shot is a high quality, interesting way of shooting people at a table.
Yeah,
you know,
it's an interesting setup too. To be fair,
I like it a lot.
Like
but it's like you even see it in two straight shots, right? This use of foreground, like you can tell that they are like very thoughtful with how they do like compositions. Like over here, you can see details are nice too. This shot right here, even the height that they're giving the shot, you know, like the shot of them like walking out, like I don't think it was perfectly executed right there, but like even like having these two, like all the angles that they did and like this shot right there, there's just like a lot of very like thoughtful shooting throughout this film that really, really like elevates it. Like this right here, that's a high quality, interesting shot. You know, maybe could execute it slightly better, but like I just like the way that this person's instincts are. Like I like the way that they choose to cover events. I would, you know, like I'm in favor of that kind of shooting, and I think they're getting a lot of very high quality shots throughout the day, and I think that's to be commended. Even right here, I like shooting it that way. Show the room, you show all the people, you don't have to move too much. Like I feel like they're making like a lot of good choices about lens choices, how much to show, you know, giving you a sense of place, not like being too tight all the time. Like I think he's a good shooter and with good judgment.
Yeah, I think there's really good coverage, especially like I think it was 2 shooters he said in comments, but yeah, like you saw, I don't know, you see a lot of like variety in the shots of the same like scenario. So like the car getaway or whatever, you know what I mean? Like we saw the close up, we saw them walking down,
or even like the ceremony,
the
like there's all kinds of shots of them that like they're giving themselves a lot to work with.
Yeah. I think there was some nice use of light in like the prep with the bride, especially. I mean, that room was really beautiful, but I think that worked well. It is nice to see like, so I think this definitely utilizes some wider shots than what we see in a lot of films. I think sometimes the like headroom and the wideness of it didn't seem like it worked for me because it just didn't seem as intentional for whatever was being captured. But it is ultimately still like, it's nice to see that because we don't see it a lot. Like we've said that before, Jay, like, and I think we've heard it in comments too, like the wide shots are really what, like executing really good wide shots is a lot of times more complicated, and it can be a, you know,
why do you think that is? I mean, I have my reasons, but why do you think wide shots, why do you think people maybe avoid them when they're, especially when more inexperienced, and then what are some of the hard parts about shooting wide?
I think so I'm going to answer in reverse. I think the hard part with wide is there's more in frame that you have to worry about. There's more, I would say, like there needs to be more intentionality with composition. There has to be a reason for why it's wide or why they're framed the way they are. There's usually more in focus. You're not going to get that shallow depth of field that lets you hide stuff and like, oh, it's pretty because there's bokeh and whatever, you know? So I think those are some reasons that pop into mind right away, and then I think because of those, people just don't shoot wide because shooting close. And
I think there's also the aspect related to what you said, where when you're not doing super high end luxury weddings, there is more things that maybe you wouldn't want to show.
Yeah.
On the property. So not only are you shooting more wide at luxury weddings because you have more to show, bigger setups, maybe better locations, but everything you show is incredible looking.
Yep. Yeah, you can't really go wrong anywhere you turn.
Yeah, there's you have to shoot.
Whereas if you're in a barn wedding, it's okay, well, there's the 4 exit signs and 6 garbage cans in my frame now.
Yeah. So totally. So
that's definitely part of it.
They mostly, I think mostly they handled that very well.
Yeah. But of course, with anything, on the flip side, Jay, what would you change, or what were some things that stood out as things you did differently?
That the intro to me really did not work. Only in terms of the content that they put in there. I felt a lot of that content would have made the middle of the film a little better. I don't think it was necessarily stuff that you wanted to get rid of. You're just on empty your tank of all. I think but the biggest thing that didn't work, I'll just play it. What's the thing you notice in your ears?
Some clicking, people talking.
It's just cacophonous.
Yeah.
There's just ambient audio the whole time.
Yeah.
And you're and it's I know some people think that grounds it or whatever. I find it to be very distracting.
I think not when it lasts so long.
Well, you have it when you want the person to look and associate the action on screen with a sound, like people cheering or people doing something, But when it's just on and there's nothing that's even related and it doesn't match at all, it's like with light. You ever see someone who's bad at lighting commercial, they don't understand motivation. So they put someone near a window and then have light coming from the other side.
Yeah.
And then you're dude, that setup looks bad. It doesn't make sense. You're supposed to be tricking people into thinking it's window light.
Yeah.
And I think the intro, the way that you chose to kind of have all this ambient audio and all this edgy shooting and all this crazy stuff, I think took away from the film. And the other thing is the very shot. This is the first frame of this bride.
Yeah.
Full on we'll say embracing that. I don't think a bride would want to see especially not in her wedding dress. That's kind of the first moment in her own wedding film is smoking cigars and
being conscious of it can be fun. They're a fun couple, whatever. She could be, I smoke a cigar every day, whatever. But you got to be conscious still of the way you're presenting your client, especially because this seems like a pretty high end wedding.
Yeah.
Pretty high end client. And not to say I would never put that shot in a film at all. I might not.
Yeah, you might put it.
But I'm not going to put it the first time you see the bride.
It's how characters are introduced, I think, really matters in storytelling. And I also felt some of the footage that you used in I don't think this is the footage you use in a hype intro.
Yeah.
I just think the intro is just pretty weak. I think the rest of the film is better than the intro. The shooting is better than the intro.
Yeah.
And the audio throughout the film is pretty weak. There's the distorted audio and I just think mixing your audio and just getting better quality recorded audio will go a really long way. And then I think just maybe that I can't say necessarily what the intro should be, but it just felt to me it's very long. And I really don't like that transition. That wipe transition.
I'm gonna touch on that.
I don't like. It doesn't match.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think for me, the first easy one to knock out is use your light at the reception. It needed it. Your open dance footage looks significantly lesser than a lot of your other footage. I know he said in chat he didn't have time to set up his light, but I just don't understand that. Open dancing happens for
I'm going to give you some tough love. And I say this to my team all the time because the biggest thing is I make mistakes.
Yeah.
But I don't not do the things that I'm supposed to do. because I know my schedule and my timing. And I always say to the team, they're like, "Oh, lights is the big one. Why isn't this working? Why are you moving at the beginning of that ceremony or at the beginning of that toast? Oh, I wasn't set up yet. I didn't have time. I didn't have time to do this. I didn't have time." I always tell people, I'm like, "Why did I have time?"
Yeah. Well,
I'll say to everybody is like,
I would be more understanding with toast or something, but with open dance floor, it's like a toast. I'm like, oh shoot, I just got to roll. My light isn't set up. I've had that happen. I've made that mistake. I wasn't keeping track of time, whatever. And I'm like, Father of the Bride speech, I just got to roll. If I can set up a light, great, while I'm rolling. But
you definitely can't miss speeches, but like if you miss 5 minutes of an open dance floor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, who cares? Go put your light up. Also, if you had a second shooter, like I don't know. So that's a really quick, easy, just, knock it out thing. Okay. You had two of these, like, at least two of these, like, interesting transitions that I do want to commend you for trying something. I like that. I always say, like, when somebody is clearly just testing something new, I like that. I want to applaud trying to think outside of the box, but you have to be conscious of what you're putting it into and why you're putting it into. The first one is the wipe with the dress into the car. Not only are you going from broad daylight to darkness, which doesn't make sense visually, it just doesn't do anything for the film, in my opinion. The second one, I didn't catch it until the second watch through we had. I think you transitioned the clock of that, like, Rolex clock that was out front to nighttime again, which the same idea, also, like, why? And also the second shot that you transition to is, it looks like the moon is just like a white circle in a big frame of black, because it's like lit up. I just like, I applaud the trying and thinking creatively and wanting to do new stuff.
You have to like have an idea in mind, is like, what is the visual language of my film and the couple and my style,
and the why. That's the big thing for me.
Well,
like, why?
I think there's never a reason to do those things, though. Those things just aren't. They're just not sophisticated. They're not classy. They date your film like you in a bad way, and I think like your shooting is better than those transitions. I think you should just eliminate that stuff.
That's a great way to put it. The very last thing I would say is I liked a lot of the wide shots. Some of them, like I said, I thought, the headroom or something was off. But my biggest thing that I really, really saw, especially in the wide shots, because I think that's where you're going to see it more, right? In a wide shot, you see more floor, you see more corners, you see more posts that are in there. You had a lot of horizon issues. And that's not even something like, I have a lot of horizon issues when I'm shooting. I try to be conscious of it.
You're probably the most obsessive person in the world about that.
I know. Like, that's a really good, that one looked pretty solid. But then you have these others that are they're ever so slightly tilted a lot. Maybe Jay's correct. Maybe that's just a me thing. But it's like
a little of this, a little of that.
Yeah. But the main thing that I want to say to that is, I leave a wedding all the time with things that are slightly tilted, whatever, but it's such an easy fix in post. And I think it's like giving that extra 1% attention of detail to each of your shots. You've put your story together, you've put your film together, you put your dress white transition together. Now go back through it. Not only ask yourself, why is this shot in there and should I be doing that? But also look, every single shot, just pause it and say, is this frame what I want?
Well,
if I were to go back in time and set it up, is this what I would set up?
In all of the cases, I think this would be the unifying bit of feedback. Minimize distractions.
Yeah.
So like if a transition is distracting and it makes me it pulls me out of the film or makes me stop thinking about the best parts of the film, eliminate it. If there's like crooked horizons, like it's distracting, eliminate it. If there's noisy audio and too much going on and you can't focus, like across the board, allow your viewers to focus on whatever it is that you want them to focus on. And if you throw too many elements at them and you keep messing around with stuff, or you don't catch, like this is a good example. That horizon right there is crooked. It's minimally crooked and it's not extremely distracting, right? And it is handheld, so I get it. But like this line right here is something like that is what you're talking about, Bobby?
Yeah, you can see it with the stairs is where I saw it mainly.
Stairs, but up here, like I look right in the middle of the frame, and it's minimally, it's a little distracting.
Yeah, and like we've seen way worse, but I think it's almost a testament of like you are shooting well, and here's kind of that next step. Like the next, and it's a small thing, admittedly, because the rest of the stuff is looking pretty solid.
Yeah, just a little attention to detail, I think, would go a long way. So, really good film. Thank you so much for submitting. You're very talented, and I wish you nothing but the best. And we do have memberships, guys. So if you want to support our channel and what we do, click the join button. It means a lot to us. And hit like on this live stream. That means a lot to us as well. And of course, we hope to see you in New York City at Clarity, our luxury wedding filmmaking retreat for wedding filmmakers. So I'm gonna do
it's gonna be a blast.
Let's do one, or what's his name again? He's in chat, I believe. One Shot.
Yeah, we can do that one.
Yeah,
I think it's at the bottom of.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, you see it there.
Follow
up. So One Shot. Let's see, what info did we get? Not too much info, just the gear. It was shot on the A7 IV, on a 35 and 85 and a 70 at 200.
I wonder what country we're in here. Looks like I'm gonna guess Brazil. No, I don't know. This doesn't look like Brazil. Here we go.
I don't know.
I'm such an old person. Like,
what does that mean?
I just I see stuff like this and I'm like, too edgy.
This frame specifically, or
no, this whole
so
okay. There's what they're doing is good, but I don't like it.
Objectively good. It's just not for you.
Well, it just doesn't feel appropriate.
That it feels. Look, maybe who knows? We'll see. But the way it's shot, but mainly combined with this song, it feels a little too sexy for me. That's what I would say.
Too sexy.
Yeah. For like a wedding. But it looks beautiful.
I promise you, this song is not something we can license either.
Yeah. Well.
So I'm talking over it so I don't get copyright striked.
Yeah. No copyright. We get the vibe. We could probably silence it at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
Just,
yeah. So I knew this was gonna be this wedding day. A bunch of people standing, holding their hands. Like, it's tough, man, because like you have the shooting chops for this edit and this song, and you have the shots in some ways, but we don't have the wedding.
Yeah. That's an interesting way to put it.
And this is bad.
I don't like this. Yeah, I was just gonna say. I'm sorry. I'm distracted by the fact I actually don't mind some of the other
the intro stuff. Like everything about it looked great, but it's like every single idea. Like there's
this might be like some
no, I don't care.
Thing in whatever.
If your country does that, tell your country to stop. But that's the nice grade. This grade looks great.
Yeah,
this color grade looks
beautiful.
really nice, and I love the colors, and it's different song. I want to see how this song came in. Whoa.
Oh yeah, that's rough.
This is edited by someone else. There's no way you edited this.
Maybe.
Look at the saturation on the drone.
Yeah, that's you figured out your look with your LUT and whatever settings, and you just slapped it adjustment layer over everything.
I'm going to tell you something. This is one of the worst songs I've ever seen in a wedding film.
Yeah, this is. I would take the first song over this, 100%. Oh. Still not the song for me, but.
I really hate it. But I like the shooting. There's a lot of great shooting.
Yeah, man, what a good. I'd be really curious with this person. I know they were in chat. I hope they still are. Like, my critique would hinge on if they're editing this themselves or not. Almost like If they aren't, they should, or they should find somebody else, in my opinion. And if they are, I think that's going to be their biggest area for growth. That's cool, but why?
All right. So let's talk about this. First and foremost, you're a good shooter. You know the gimmicks. You can do a lot of stuff. And so I don't know how you learned all these skills, but you have a lot of skills, and you do a lot of things very well. When the color grade looks like, this-ish, it looks great. There's some good color in the film. I mean, even this stuff, it's direct lit, but you got a little angle to it, so we have some shadow, and this is nice.
Yeah.
Like there's
you're intentional with
there
that
is
background.
a lot of very tricky things that you actually kind of pulled off pretty well. And so I give you huge credit for that, because that stuff is tough, and you're talented. You're gonna, sometimes with the and this is me just I have the sensibilities I do. When I watch people from other countries, I do try to, like you said, keep in mind what's popular, what is expected by people. The sensibilities of people definitely differs.
And also what is even happening.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, too. The elements of the day. But when I see a shot like this, I just can't imagine ever saying we're going to do this with you to a bride. And it's not that I shouldn't or that he shouldn't either. It's just it's hard for me to contextualize
how you got there.
This bride in America would never want this edit.
Yeah.
She would never want this much stylized
and
stuff and edgy and all that junk. So that doesn't mean
that specific bride.
Yeah, and at this location and this wedding day and this outfit and all these things. So that doesn't mean that this bride didn't, or that all the brides are getting married there. So all that with a grain of salt. That's why I don't want to get overly critical and say no one should ever make a wedding film like this. They're sitting too. Yeah. See?
Yeah. There you go.
But I do watch it and I go oh, this is good. There's a lot of really interesting stuff here. And I just think they're, very, very, they know a lot of tricks.
Yeah. I think, while I did say, I feel like for the day, the couple, the location, I felt like the intro is almost too sexy for me and edgy. That's in the edit itself, the execution is very well done. It looks, you have some really interesting, intentional shots. I think we can really tell, to me, it felt like that intro, that 30 seconds or whatever it was, is really where you were hands on start to finish. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, it seems like a film that 3 people made.
Yeah. And then, just really nice shots throughout. We see them even later in the film. The color grade is really nice looking outside of the 16 millimeter film overlay that I think ruined your color, in my opinion. And like Jay said, ultimately, we don't know the day. We don't know the couple. We don't speak this language. There are some things that we think maybe stands out to us, but we're in the US and we always need to take that into consideration. On the flip side, Jay, are there specific things that you would have done different or changed?
I would have edited this entire thing differently, but I would have not ever, if you're going to do this big, sexy edit, and you want to have this edgy thing, I think it would be better if you didn't have the second half, first of all.
Yeah, it would almost be better as a standalone teaser and then do a more traditional edit.
I think I could get into some complicated ways of saying this. The simplest thing I'll say to you is cohesion. You have to figure out what is the core message of this piece. Yeah. Who is this couple? And then how do we make the film best exemplify whatever it is that we're doing here? And I feel like this is a person who wants to do a Sculpting with Time, Ray Roman thing.
Yeah. And
this is not that wedding. And And I honestly think you would have been better off maybe simplifying a little bit. The biggest critique I have, the intro is a little too sexy, but it is cool.
Yeah.
And it is well done. This is not cool or well done. Like this whole sequence, and then like
that film overlay sequence.
The music transition is very clumsy. This segment right here does not match the refined, sexy edge. You can't have this in the same film as this sexy, overly styled like intro. So I think like picking who you want to be and actually making it the whole film, even if I disagree with what you think you want to be, even if I think it doesn't match the couple, okay, so be it. Like, again, I don't know. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I don't think I am wrong, though, that there's a lot of disparate elements that don't seem to click. And a lot of it's just
wavering between different approaches throughout the film, kind of.
Yes, that's my biggest.
What it feels like to me, and he said, I was really going crazy with this one. And that's what it feels like. It feels like, and this is no like hate to you, but it feels like you were like, oh man, here I have like these 10 ideas. I want to try some of these things. And instead of finding the right wedding to try each of them on, you just tried them all on this wedding.
You know what's interesting thing? We have this happen a lot where a couple does like sparklers or like dry ice or something. And me and the guys will go, yeah, they did dry ice, but like it didn't match. Like it was kind of, it felt artificially epic. Like they just randomly have this super edgy thing in the middle of like this wedding inside of like a golf course. And I'm like, you got to know when there's something that doesn't really land and not be like, oh, I shot this great wedding day. It was so awesome. They had explosions.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, but should they have if you're cueing it, like the couple's fashion and the location much more has to me, a authoritative over like what I do. It has much more authority over what I make than like one element of the day. Like where it's like, oh, they had this great wedding where like everyone wore sneakers later in the day. It's so crazy. And they all wore sneakers. It's like, well, but what did most of the day feel like? Like, and I felt like you as a person who's shooting, like I'm looking at all these people and I'm looking like there's so many things that I look at and I go like, oh, we could do this because they had these explosions, but the rest of the day just didn't really match. Like, I would be doing like some freaking like Icelandic, like, I don't know, like Sigur Rós or something like more like maybe that's just played out in Europe, but like that's when I see these films, I'm like, how come nobody's like if an American cut together like a film in
this one is Romania. That's what you're looking for. Yeah.
We would make it feel like Romanian.
Yeah, it's almost like, put yourself in the shoes of like it's almost like the mindset of treating every wedding like a destination wedding, kind of, because it forces you to really hone in on where you are and why you're there and then match that.
Or never get bored. Like we talk about it in the BTS. We're actually dropping a BTS tomorrow, guys. So if you want to check out behind the scenes video we're doing, and we do one on Cape Cod. I shoot Cape Cod a lot. And I have this whole thing where I talk about hydrangeas. And I say hydrangeas are iconic Cape Cod. Every time I shoot a wedding in there, I always look for the hydrangeas. Not because I care about hydrangeas at all. I don't. I know any couple getting married there, like you said, treat every wedding like a destination wedding.
Yeah.
I know that these couples that are getting married there, to them, hydrangeas are iconic flower of Cape Cod.
And they would expect to see it.
They expect to see it. Yeah. I don't really have a strong, like, we're going to make our wedding films like this now. We always are like, our wedding films are targeted at people who are like excited about, a good portion of them are targeted at people who want to do the coastal New England wedding. So every wedding we're making, we're delivering on that brand promise of like, this is coastal New England vibe. We don't have music that pulls us out of coastal New England. We don't have shots that pull us out of, we don't have editing styles that pull us out of that. Everything is about like the flowers, the
Yeah.
ocean crashing, music that you would listen to on the beach, like everything that like fully goes into the full experience of what the couple did. And I don't really feel any of that with a lot of the creative choices in this film.
Well, yeah, and I always want to like be sure to like, give props and say like I like seeing creativity. I like seeing people trying something different. I like that you have a list of ideas of things you want to try. You have to find the right couple and the right day to try them, though. That like don't force a wedding into your box. You have to fit your ideas into the box where it fits.
Agreed. And I mean, this is a talented person. So
yeah,
again, it's probably what we're really saying is these are things that some people might not like. And this is our taste and our personal feelings, but
yeah,
maybe.
But at the same time, really well shot. And like a lot of the editing is executed well. We just felt like it didn't fit was the only thing.
Well,
like,
we're doing an
wasn't
episode
execution thing.
next week. Me and Jared recorded an episode yesterday, and we're talking about timelessness. And we just released it. We released an episode about timelessness, but we were talking about an episode about like success.
Yeah.
Like, what is success?
Yeah.
As a wedding filmmaker. And like, when you look at like a lot of wedding filmmakers, like they succeed at doing the thing that they wanted to do. Like, oh, I wanted to do a time lapse. I wanted to do a wedding with a edgy edit or like a wipe transition. Like, and these are like these small successes, but I think just like your career, you also think about your films and you think about your seasons and your brand. And it's like, what is the overall, like, what does it look like to succeed as a brand? Or succeed as a whole. And it usually is more about like the way that the parts come together.
Yeah.
Than the individual, like that was cool or that was cool. And I think that's the small thing I'll say is like, there's a lot of successes in this film that in themselves, in a vacuum, are good. But when you put it all together, it doesn't come together, and that kind of drives you into, is that a success or not?
Yeah.
I typically think if it doesn't feel cohesive, then that to me is what I'm not looking for in a wedding film. So that's just my feedback.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just important to think through that and be intentional. I mean, so much of what we say comes down to just being intentional and stuff. So
yeah.
But thank you for submitting. Keep submitting other films. We are here. We try to be here every week. We'll probably get back on track on that. It's been wedding season.
What is that? Is next week's the 19th?
Next week is, that sounds right.
We will not be next week because I'll be at Engage.
Whoa, and then we probably won't be here the next week because it's the day after Christmas.
Yeah, I would think no. So we'll see we'll see at the new year. How about that, guys?
Yeah. Also, hey, One Shot, it's not a negative critique at all. Like, don't take it. We don't want you to take it like that. I know we spent some time saying things that we thought you did really well as well. And
and also you didn't tell us anything about the film. So we don't know how much it costs. We don't know what the goals were. Yeah. So like if you told us like it was a day like this and we couldn't do X and we couldn't do Y and like maybe the couple forced me to do X and like, I might have a different opinion.
Yeah. Any next time, whenever you submit, just as much detail as you can provide is always helpful. So cool. Well, one last pitch for Clarity 2025. We would love to have you join us in New York City. Learn along some of the best wedding filmmakers in the business and really reset with us, recharge, enjoy our stay and our community while learning, focusing on a variety of things and really bringing in some unique perspectives in the wedding industry business. Early February, New York City. You can go to clarity-retreat.com to sign up now, and that ticket will include your stay, all your food, all the events that we do, and obviously access to all this awesome education and things along those lines.
You might even make a friend.
You might even make a friend. Last year was a blast. I'm not just saying that because it's our retreat. It was actually awesome. You can watch our video with a bunch of people sharing their thoughts who are attendees at the event. And yeah, it's just a really cool opportunity. I'm always super motivated by being around other people who are creative and pushing themselves and doing the best that they can do. And I don't know that there's a better place to be around those people than Clarity. So yes, Nate, good to see you at the very tail end. But I think you were first. So, go back an hour or something like that. You'll find it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Anything else from you, Jay?
No, I appreciate you guys so much. And, I'm so excited. So many people are excited about wedding filmmaking. I love making wedding films. So if you're excited,
It's a cool
I'm excited.
career. We love it. All right. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Have a good holiday season. Jay, enjoy Engage. And we will see you soon. And keep an eye out for some stuff that we're dropping.